Well, the news in the NFL is coming fast and furious, and no, the Steelers did not sign Vin Diesel. And yes, I've been working on that joke all week or all day, I should say. It is crazy. I'll bet we're talking Tuesday night. I'll bet that there's going to be news popping up. I'll keep you.
It's still coming.
Notified.
By the time this airs tomorrow, it's going to be
all out of dates. It's going to be like, what the heck are they talking about?
Yeah.
Let's start at yesterday, the first day of legal tampering, which is really funny. It was
an oxymoron. That's such a stupid term.
Now they could talk like they haven't been talking for weeks.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And if it's tampering, it's not legal. So just call it free agency. It's the beginning of free agency.
Right. Exactly. The real beginning of free agency. Technically, it doesn't start till Wednesday or something like that.
Wednesday.
Whatever.
They have to get all fancy with their language.
They have to get all fancy. So the big news yesterday was the Steelers lost Cam Sutton to the Lions, but then they get Patrick Peterson, who was with the Vikings.
Yep.
The amount of, believe it or not, Steelers fans blew this out of proportion. That's never happened before.
No.
I mean, yeah, Cam Sutton was a good player, but he wasn't.
Not $11 million good.
Yeah, he wasn't. And from what I understand, from what I hear from, according to the Jerry Dulac of the Post-Gazette, the Steelers and Cam Sutton were way apart on
clearly.
on
Not
Monday.
surprised. The Steelers are cheap butts.
Yeah,
but you know what? They're cheap, but they also just don't overpay good players. Like there's a big gap between like a Cam Sutton and a somebody else, a TJ Watt or even an Alex Highsmith. I mean, you're just not at that. I know it's not the same position. You're just not at that level. Do you know what I mean? So to me, I don't know. I mean, he's good. And he's worth maybe what, 8 million, 9 million, not 11. Like that's a big.
No, the Lions. It seems like from where I stand right now, they overpaid for his services, but we'll only know
the Lions. That I don't follow that well. Maybe based on what they need, that makes sense and fits their model. But we already have a really expensive defense, and I'm not saying that means we have to take bargain basement players to fill in the rest of our needs, but certainly don't have any more room to overpay people on that squad. I just don't think he was worth it. I didn't ever think we were going to keep him. Everybody thought we were. I never thought we were, because I thought he wants to get paid, and you know what, good for him. Like I think it's great. I'm happy for him. I wish him all the best. But
I'll be honest. I was. And only obviously he was talented. Yeah. Just the Steelers' history with cornerbacks is abysmal. So I was like, okay, well, here's a guy who's finally working out.
All right,
and we jettison his ass. I mean, we just get rid of him. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I get that
that's what happens. Like that's the nature of it. You know what I mean? He had his best, like arguably his best season of his career last year. Do you know what I mean? Which was great for him. That was like a huge advertisement. And we put him on that 1-year deal. And when you roll the dice with those 1-year deals, that's their chance to show off. And he did. Yeah.
If they wanted him so bad, they could have kept him. They could have negotiated with him last year. So
exactly.
They already played their hand. They already said, okay, we'd like to keep you, but at a certain price, and if not, good luck.
Yeah.
And that if they felt he was worth $11 million, they could have found some creative way to structure that. I'm not saying the salary cap is a joke, but salary cap isn't quite what people think it is. There's ways to get things done. They could have done something.
Signing bonuses. I mean, you're right. They would have gotten it done if they truly wanted to. But my concern now is like, okay, Patrick Peterson, he's 80, but he proved in the last couple of years that he can still be impactful, which is great. But now I wonder, I sort of don't feel like he can, not that Cam Sutton is better than Patrick Peterson. I just sort of feel like, I wonder if this sort of signals the Steelers are going to take us, like we already wondered if the Steelers were going to take a cornerback high in the draft.
Yeah.
I sort of wonder if now this kind of cements that, because PP's only on it's a 2-year deal, but it's really a 1-year deal. Yeah. And so it almost makes me
also
wonder
a
if they
very
just brought him
different
in like
player
to
than
be a
Cam
mentor
Sutton.
to whoever
Yeah.
they end up drafting.
He's a very different player than Cam Sutton. Like people should not think that like he's interchangeable for him. Like they both have their skill sets that they're really good at, and they're not the same skill sets. Do you know what I mean? So he just doesn't have that all over the field flexibility that Sutton has, but he's much better on like that one-on-one coverage than Sutton was, where he kind of blew it all the time. That's Peterson's strength. So I still think they're going corner high in the draft, but I feel like this takes the urgency off of the need to like try to find somebody with that 17 spot. Like people were talking about them having to move up to get like Joey Porter or one of those other corners that's ranked really high. So maybe this takes like the urgency off of it.
This is a deep draft for cornerbacks. So if they don't get Joey Porter Jr. or some other cornerback, they'll get him, with another pick.
Right. Yeah. I just don't know that some of those other guys are worth the 17 pick, maybe at 32. You know what I mean?
I'm hearing from trusted sources who might be scouting these players that Christian Gonzalez is actually better than Joey Porter.
I've heard that too.
And Christian Gonzalez,
just from watching,
Gonzalez is going like top 10, maybe
way
top
high.
5.
Yeah.
He's not going anywhere near the Steelers.
But there's some people who are saying, you know what I mean, like that Joey Porter is. I mean, who knows? Some people are saying Joey Porter. They like Joey Porter over Christian Gonzalez, and it might just be the name
because of his name.
But still, it's like, come on. Like really, let's draft somebody for his talent, not his bloodline.
I don't know what Patrick Peterson's role is going to be, but historically in his career he was considered one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL.
Absolutely.
He was considered like an island kind of player. I don't think he's that anymore, but that's okay. So he's not a press man, cover dude. Okay, fine. He can work in his zone, which is what the Steelers do. So I think this is going to work out. Arthur
Moat talked about him on his podcast, and to go back to like what Allison said about him possibly being a mentor, he was with them for that one weird year where Moats went to Arizona and got hurt, and that was when Peterson was like balling out in Arizona. And he said that this guy brings this level of professionalism to the locker room that's just like no one else. Like the way he takes care of his body physically, like his work ethic, his routines, you know what I mean? He does everything he can do to avoid being injured, and knock on wood, he's been relatively injury free. Maybe that is part of it, that he's coming to bring some leadership.
He's only missed like 2 games in the last 10 years or something.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Like I think that's what his job is, to be a mentor to whoever they draft. Because I think it's very obvious they are drafting some corner somewhere that's going to be the future. I think his job is to be a mentor for that player.
But his stats aren't bad from last year. I mean, he may not be what he was 8 years ago, but he's still performing at a relatively high level, especially for somebody 32.
Right. Yeah, exactly. He was tied for second. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was with like 10 other players, but he was tied for second in interceptions last year with 5.
He got more interceptions than any of the Steeler cornerbacks.
Yeah.
Yes, sure did.
15 pass breakups, which is also really impressive. He is around the ball.
Grade was an 80.7. Which, I mean, I know PFS isn't the be all end all.
Right.
66 tackles. So he was very good and very active. I guess he got burnt on that one playoff game. Okay, let's make the playoffs, then we'll worry about it.
Happens to everybody, right? Yeah, that happens to everybody at some point.
I wonder when losing Cam Sutton, I think it almost means they might have to draft 2 people to replace him, which fine. Okay. So you might have to draft like a dime corner and a slot. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I don't know much about Norwood, but I wonder if maybe they're trying to like bring him along. You know what I mean? Not to be a starter, not to be like a Cam Sutton kind of guy. He's still really young, but I just mean like maybe to be a more integral part of that secondary unit.
Well,
I just feel like when you look at the backups, it's kind of abysmal. Do you know what I mean? Like, what do you know what I mean? There was nothing of substance there last year.
Yeah. They also brought back DeMonte KZ.
I was happy about that.
Me too.
I'm happy about that too. I just keep hearing the big question is, will they be able to keep Terrell Edmonds.
Yeah. I'm thinking no. I don't think I don't think they can keep both of them. But
I don't see how they can keep both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it could be a situation like last year where Edmonds was on free agency for a little while.
Yep.
Actually, it's quite a bit of time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm presuming there wasn't really, the market was not great for him. So sort of makes me wonder if maybe
Never know.
Maybe they
Bide their time.
It'll be a situation like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be okay with that. If they can get him on the cheap,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Would be
Well,
because he has improved over the, every year.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm perfectly okay if they bring Edmonds back. But when they tell him, and I think they told him last year, it's like, hey, dude, if you want to test free agency, go ahead. If you find something cool, if not, come back to us. And then he did. If that happens again, it's like, bro, you better take whatever the minimum is, because somebody wants you.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think he's not like, he's okay. I just feel like maybe teams that aren't the Steelers, like the Steelers obviously know him so well. Maybe the teams other than Pittsburgh don't really know him well enough to feel like they would confidently that he could come in and fit their game or whatever. Or play at a level where they would.
He might give some depth to a team, but I think he feels like he's more than that and wants to be paid like more than that. And I think that's where the disparities coming in.
Yeah, and meanwhile, he's a perfect piece for the Steelers because he would be cheap.
Yeah.
And when you have Minka who makes all that money, you can't spend all that money on the safeties. So if you could get him back cheap, that would be and cool.
I think he's a solid backup. Like at the backup position, I like him. Do you know what I mean? I like him for depth. I like him as a rotational player. Do you know what I mean? I think he has some flashes of good, but I suspect he wants more money.
Right.
Everybody wants more money. I mean, I do too.
Right.
Not
I almost wore a side note. I almost wore my pigeon shirt today.
Did you? We could have been twinning.
Almost. I just wore this one.
Yeah.
Whatever this is. But yeah, I almost did. I saw it and I was like, you know what? Because that it was such a little fad, you know what I mean? Like it lasted like 2 weeks. And
I know, but it's fun. I like to break it out.
Yeah, I agree.
What fad? What are you talking about?
The pigeon.
About the pigeons at Acrisure.
The Acrisure
and how they were helping her win the games. So Allison got us those shirts.
Right, yeah.
With the Pittsburgh pigeons on them.
Oh, Joey's going to get. Does he have a pigeon down there from Acrisure?
He probably has a real one that he stuffed and put in the back.
All of his memorabilia, right?
Because he has everything.
He does.
My laptop was about to run out of. It wasn't plugged in. I'm sorry. I do not have any pigeons.
I was going to say that might be why we were losing for a little bit there, because Joe stuffed one of the pigeons and put him down in his man cave.
You should, Joey. You should.
I hunted. Yeah, I hunted
the poor pigeon down.
Right. Like duck hunt.
Hunt. Yeah, pigeon hunt.
Right.
Also, they signed guard Nate Herbig on a 2-year deal worth $8 million, $4 million guaranteed. This was it looks like because he was familiar with Andy Weidel, I guess, from wherever, the Eagles or whatever.
Eagles. Yeah.
So I guess, and he was basically a backup with the Jets, but he had to come in because their starter Elijah Vera Tucker got hurt, so he played. So I don't know if he is he's going to compete with Dotson for that left guard spot.
Sounds like he'll compete with Dotson, but it was interesting because I was looking up some stats on him, and he ranked for PFF overall for guards 21 spots behind Dotson in their ranking at like 58. So, but then I did see that, he also didn't have I don't think the full complement of games. So I don't know how much that hurt him. Do you know what I mean? That he didn't start like all 17 games. So then I also saw though that ESPN ranked him 6th among all guards in run blocking, and he allowed only 1 sack and 424 snaps. So that's nice. Encouraging because we need that run blocking help. So, if that's his talent, maybe that's a leg up.
Yeah, I don't know PFF's analytics or anything like that, but I do believe that what you said is correct. If they play less games,
Right.
You know what I mean? That's Dotson played the whole season. You know, they're basing his numbers on the whole season and his only on a little season. And
they have something that makes him eligible to be compared. Do you know what I mean? But I don't think it's like always equal. That's my vague understanding. Yeah,
exactly.
But I like that signing. I like some depth at guard. We need something.
Exactly. Either he's a starter or he's a backup. It's good depth.
Yep.
I'm perfectly fine with that. So
yeah, because it's a bad draft as far as I'm aware. It's a bad draft for guards and centers.
It is.
It's not a good,
and he's flexible. He can move around some on the line if he has to, which is nice to see that he could play either side.
Right. You know, Tillman likes his guys that can just play all over the place.
Right.
Sure.
It sort of reminded me of Matt Filer. I don't know if he went anywhere or not. Did he go anywhere? Do you know?
Sorry, not yet.
I haven't heard of him in a long time.
Yeah. There was talk about them bringing him back and whatever, and I'm like, okay, I mean, he can play everywhere. You know what I mean? Like,
for the right amount of money. I mean,
exactly. Yeah, for peanuts.
Mm-hmm.
The league minimum.
Back to the defense, they retained Larry Ogunjobi, 3-year, $28.75 million.
That was nice. I was happy to see that it was lengthy. I was happy to see it wasn't just a 1-year deal where we'd have to deal with this again next year. I think it's solid. And he played through so many injuries. I mean,
he did. I know he didn't practice a lot, but he came out in the field like every Sunday and played and was solid for the most part. And I have no issue with that. I saw some people complaining about they felt like he was overpaid. And I was like, not if you think about what Chicago was willing to pay him last year when we got him on the cheap. Like, don't let because we got him on the cheap because he failed his physical, like fool you.
Right.
You know what I mean? He needed to go somewhere. He's worth a lot more than what he got last year. This isn't like a huge jump. He was already at like, what was it, like 40 million for 3 years last year with the Bears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the Steelers got lucky there. They swooped in and was like, okay, we're gonna take this guy. It's just interesting how he failed his physical there, but then he passed it in Pittsburgh. It's like,
different doctor.
Right? Yeah,
doctor
exactly.
the physical like this.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
They had him leave one leg
Those
off the
doctors
scale
in
or
Chicago,
something.
you know, they're all
Right.
I think it's huge to keep him. They still need somebody else on the defensive line, but still, you know, they probably will. This is probably going to be a offensive line, defensive line, cornerback draft. So
And Spillane's gone, right?
Spillane is gone.
Bye.
Raiders. See ya.
Not losing sleep over that.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe how upset people were about that. I was like, really? I'm like, he had some moments, but not consistently enough that I'm crying over losing him.
He was liability in coverage for sure.
Exactly. If they outlawed passing, if they made a rule that said you're not allowed to pass the ball, Spillane would be an all-pro.
He would be in the Hall of Fame. He would be like Hall of Fame.
That's his team right there. That's his game.
Yeah.
The single wing or whatever that was in the 40s. He'd be perfect for that. I mean, he's good, but he was a liability in coverage. So
I'm done with like the inconsistent people. We just can't have those people starting for us all the time.
Right. Yep.
Inside linebacker is still a major need. It's basically Miles Jack, and they desperately need someone else. And it's probably not going to come in the draft.
Flying out of free agency. Looks like there's tons of them getting signed.
I was hoping for Leighton Vander Esch, but he just signed back with the Cowboys.
I know. I did something today on like some of the free agents that were left that realistically could go to the Steelers and fill a need, and he was one of them. And published on the article, and like 2 minutes later, it was like Vander Esch. I'm like, oh my god! Like seriously.
Unless I'm missing something, it seems like a lot of the mock drafts I'm seeing don't have the top inside linebackers going in the first round. So
maybe I don't think that they're that great.
Right. I'm just saying, like, maybe they could get a top inside linebacker at 32. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's just kind of my thought. But yeah.
I haven't looked to see where they're all ranked, but I know it's not a good draft for them.
No.
And
or 49.
Do you want to draft? The only way I'd want to draft an inside linebacker is if he like didn't start right away.
Right.
We did that with Devin Bush, and that turned out bad. Like
And the price we paid for him is
Now,
still
I feel bad for Devin Bush because I feel like his trajectory was going like one way, you know what I mean? And then he got injured and just never recovered from that, you know? And so I feel like all these people call him a bust and all of these things. And I guess by the technical definition, you can say that about him. But the reality is, I think if he'd never gotten injured, I think we'd be having like a whole different conversation about how to pay him and keep him.
It happens. And
yeah, it does.
We don't talk about it that much, but sometimes when people get injured, they don't recover.
Yeah.
Right.
And they
Whether
just,
it's mental or physical. Sometimes it's mental. You're scared,
exactly.
You're anxious, you don't trust your body. Sometimes it's physical and you never feel the same. Yeah. Yeah, I feel bad for the kid.
What if they lose Derek Watt? Oh my God.
My life is over if they
what would we do?
Maybe this all sets up for the Steelers getting Levante David. We need to get older on defense. So let's get Levante David. Bobby Wagner's still out there.
Yeah, he's gonna stay out there with his hefty price tag, I think.
Oh, I'm sure he's gonna ask for a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know who.
I mean, someone will take him, but he's not coming to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that would be cool, but no. Drew A. Tranquil. I don't know him.
Who? What?
Drew A. Tranquil.
Huh.
I don't know him.
I don't know him, but he's a highly rated linebacker. Denzel Perryman, Cole Holcomb. Gardner Minshew. Wouldn't mind having him. So yeah, there are still players out there, but still out there. It's still early.
Yeah.
What else should they do in free agency? Is need an inside linebacker. And
I looked at wide receivers today because we could probably use some sort of depth on wide receivers. You know what I mean? Somebody inexpensive, maybe even somebody a little bit older. But boy, it was kind of slim pickings as I was going through it. They were like either like top tier or they were like bottom of the barrel.
Jarvis Landry, no. Jarvis, some guy Jarvis from the Cleveland. It's a wide receiver. Jarvis?
Yeah, Jarvis Landry.
Okay.
Landry.
Yeah, I think for whatever reason in my head, I was thinking Landry Jones, and I thought that's what I was saying. But yeah, I think he might be decent.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a possibility. It's a possibility.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think we don't know with Calvin Austin, like where he is. You know what I mean? I think we're all hoping because of what we saw in camp last year, but we really have no idea how he's recovered. Is he, you know what I mean? We don't even know if he's pro ready without the injury, let alone where he is now.
Right. Yeah. I heard he was among the group that was working out with Mitch and Kenny in Florida, which is good to hear because it's like
that is good.
You need all that they can get, especially with Calvin.
Yep.
I just don't get Jordan Addison, guys. Come on, just because he's friends with Kenny Pickett. Let's not do
high on that.
I'd still be okay if we got him at. I wouldn't like. It wouldn't be the end of the world if they got him at 32.
Yeah, maybe I'd be better with that than 17. If they did it at 17, my head would explode.
Right.
Yeah, that's a lot. I was at lunch today with a friend and she must have misunderstood something she saw. And she's like, and you saw that Mason got signed they signed him to a 1-year deal to stay. I was like, what? I was knocking my food off the table. I was like, what? Reaching for my phone. I don't know what she saw. I was like, thank goodness that was wrong. I was like, don't do that to me.
I saw the exact same thing. It's like somebody like Mason stays or something like. I'm like, what? Wait, what?
Right.
Yeah, you can't. I told her, I was like, you got to check and double check because yesterday there was people doing like fake Adam Schefter accounts and putting stuff out, and people were believing it and retweeting it, and like, I was like, this is too confusing. You got to make sure you're at the right source.
That's the job I want. Fake Adam Schefter.
There's a few of those accounts, and some of them are really funny.
I love that.
Some of them are really funny.
They look so legitimate. They look
I love it when it's like a really dry joke. Like it's not so outrageous that you're like, there's no way. Do you know what I mean? Right. But it's like just wacky enough to make you think. And then you're like, come on, what?
Right.
Yeah,
And a
there's
lot
some
of
really
those
good
things are
ones.
like, you see them and like everything, you just retweet. Oh my God, this happened.
Right,
Retweet,
right,
and you're like,
yeah.
oh, I just got burned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens to the best
It
of us.
looks so
It does.
legit.
They do. They really do.
I wonder if like real Adam Schefter looks at that and says, "Get that guy, get him, find him, hunt him down."
I thought
Maybe.
about that. I think I would laugh about it, but then on the other hand, it just makes like his job
Oh my
slightly more
God.
difficult.
What
It would
if-
drive me crazy.
What if fake Adam Schefter is Adam Schefter? Maybe that's his burner account.
Right. That would be
It
awesome.
could be.
That I'm all here for. I love
Right.
that.
Just putting out outrageous. Oh, that would be so good.
He's like, let me just create chaos around the NFL fan bases, throw out these wacky tweets.
Like stuff that he sort of heard but can't confirm by himself.
Right.
So maybe his fake account can do it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because there was rumors that flew around that people were pretty adamant, like they'd heard from a source and were real. And I don't know, none of them have come to fruition, and all of them sound a little bit too far-fetched to me.
Well, the
Right,
whole Aaron Rodgers thing is just, ridiculous. He is ridiculous, but
Right,
you
yeah.
know, like I mean, it's so obvious he's going to the Jets. The Jets are signing like all the old Packers.
Yep.
Apparently Aaron Rodgers gave them a list. It's like, get these people, and they're getting them. I mean, it's
It's
obvious it's happening.
Right.
the part I love best about all of it is that Aaron Rodgers griped so much about Brett Favre, and now he's turned into Brett Favre.
Oh, he totally has. Yeah.
He's like Brett Favre 2.0 for all the complaining he did back in the day. I'm like, dude, you're doing the exact same thing now.
Exact same thing. That's
and
exactly
Garrett
what
Wilson has to be like, dude, what about me? Hello.
Right. Hello.
I mean, he was good last year, wasn't he? Like one of the.
It was solid. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just crazy. We were talking before this, how just so much information happens. It's like,
yeah,
it is like Thanksgiving and Christmas. This is
Right.
this is Thanksgiving, and the draft is Christmas.
Mhm.
And but we don't have to get gifts for each other.
Right.
But we're gonna eat.
Right.
We're gonna eat. Yeah. Stress eat.
Mhm.
Stress eat. Yeah, it's just it's fun. And then they could do, I love the cap is a myth thing, because it really is. Every year it's like, oh my God, this team is right up against the cap. How can they possibly sign anybody? And it's like, well, we restructured some deals and now we have 50 million available. Like,
Yeah. And I like that there is there is a ceiling, so that, we don't have teams like you have in baseball where they have all this magic money and get everybody and shut all the other teams out. So I'm glad that there is like some kind of a ceiling, even if it does feel like a little bit like a myth sometimes. But it is interesting how some of these teams that they say are like in such bad shape, like really bad shape, like, the Browns or somebody. And then all of a sudden they're signing people with these big deals. I'm like, I'm not great at math, but like this doesn't make sense to me. I don't know how they do it. And the Steelers were like, we can't sign anybody.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
We're broke.
Here's something, I don't know if this is true, but I think it is. When you sign a player to a deal with guaranteed money, you have to have all that guaranteed money ready, like, and put it in some kind of escrow or something like that.
So,
in like
at
a
the
little
moment of
candy
signing.
jar.
Right.
Okay. Now, I mean, like Cam Sutton got what, like, 10 million, 20 million of, free agency or something, and guaranteed or something like that. But what about when they signed that Deshaun Watson contract? It was like 9 years, 50 million, all guaranteed. Who has half a billion lying around that say, oh, we'll just throw this in the bank now?
Right.
I wonder if that's what's holding up the whole Lamar Jackson thing.
Maybe.
Because who has all that money? That whole Lamar Jackson thing is just so bizarre.
It is. I agree.
It really is. It really is.
I just really hope the Ravens don't end up with he just ends up somewhere else.
Happy to see him go somewhere else. Yeah.
Get out of the AFC North. I don't
conference.
want him in the. I do want the Ravens to suffer though. I want them. I know Andy Dalton just signed with.
100%.
I think the
That was
Panthers or something like
bizarre,
that.
like overpaid like crazy for him, I thought, for like where he is in his career. Yeah.
Dalton?
I
Really?
can't remember the amount of money. Yeah, but I remember thinking it was more than I thought he would have gotten, $10 million or something like that for 2
Right,
years or
yeah.
something.
Interesting.
From what I understand,
For a backup,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Mitch Trubisky. I mean, that's what
right.
we're
This
paying
is
for
even, it was
Mitch.
even more than Mitch. Yeah, it was a
Right, oh,
lot.
okay. Yeah.
that's
think it
why
was
when people are
10.
saying you got to get rid of Mitch Trubisky, he makes too much. Like, are you kidding? That's a bargain.
Right.
It's a
yeah.
bargain. Yeah.
Mhm.
Especially when you're paying your QB1 is on a rookie contract.
Right,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
It makes that feel a lot more reasonable. Do you know what I mean? Kenny doesn't even have a full season under his belt yet, and he's on the rookie contract. You got to have some kind of relatively strong backup for him.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
As of now, the Steelers have $7 million in cap space, but that means nothing.
No.
Right.
We'll see.
Because there's still
Oh.
restructuring to be done of a couple contracts.
Yeah, Watt and Fitzpatrick, they can even restructure
right?
words if they wanted
Yeah.
to. Like,
Right.
I mean, that's just kind of, but they can even do like Deontay. They can even get
Yeah.
like $3 million from Deontay.
But you know what?
Johnson.
They restructured Ben his last year, knowing it was his last
Right.
year. Like, there's a way to do that so it doesn't shoot you too badly later. I mean, you'll have some dead cap hit, but hopefully not horrible. You know, you work it out in such a way.
Like the Browns will have this insane dead cap thing. Like when Watson goes away eventually, like they're gonna
it's gonna kill him. It's gonna kill him.
And I'm
That's
gonna
why I
laugh.
really understand like the Jets wanting Aaron Rodgers so badly. I was saying this to somebody earlier that, to me, you look at taking a guy like Aaron Rodgers, if you have like the majority of the other pieces in place, and what you need is this quarterback, who's proven to get you to like for 2 years or whatever to make this Super Bowl run. But the Jets aren't at that level. So why wouldn't you want to be like building like Chicago did or something, or like the Steelers are doing, where you start with your young guy and build around him and build this team up, and then you get there. Instead, you're going to waste all this money on somebody that doesn't have the pieces that they need to win.
Well, the Jets think that they are at that level. They think they're quarterback away. They're wrong, but that's what they think.
Are you talking about the Jets?
Yeah.
I disagree with both of y'all. Get away.
You think they're that close?
I think the Jets are a quarterback away from being a true.
It's very possible. It's very
they
possible.
Have that running back. They have a freaking awesome defense. I mean,
the defense is much better.
If they had anything resembling a quarterback last year, they would have been amazing.
Yeah.
So but they could have had the best of both worlds. They could have got like a Jimmy G or something like that.
See, that's what I was thinking. Then you have more time. You got all these other young guys, then you've got some time. Instead, now you've definitely got this like very narrow window.
I see what you mean. And so, the window is very short. Yeah. If they had gotten somebody younger, it would have been, they would have had more time to. I see what you mean. Yeah.
I just can't see Aaron Rodgers in New York working. I just can't see that.
It's a tough. It's a tough market, and he's a
weirdo. He's a flake. I could totally
listening to oh my God, Cam Hayward's podcast last week, and he had on Joe Manganiello, and he was telling, the guy from True Blood that's like a big Steelers fan, and he was telling the greatest story about how one time it was right during the start of training camp, like 2 years ago, and he was out in Los Angeles for something, and he's walking around and he walks past Aaron Rodgers. He's like, he had this little like man bun, and I'm like, wait a minute, the hell is that Aaron Rodgers? And he stops and talks to him, and he's like, what are you doing here? Like, aren't you supposed to be at training camp? And he like kind of blew it off. So then he said he went back to wherever he was staying, and he called a friend of his who's a tight end for Green Bay. And he was like, hey man, I just saw your quarterback like walking around downtown LA. He's like, oh yeah, the GM and the coach had to get on a plane and fly out there and get him to bring him back because he didn't show up when he was supposed to be doing he's doing some sort of like mental health vacation for himself.
I remember that. That was just like 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah, I totally remember that.
Like, I walked past him on the street. I'm like, what the hell are you doing here? You're supposed to be at training camp. The dude is a screw loose.
Yeah, no doubt.
You can't handle the media in Green Bay. What do you think you're going to
Just
do
wait.
in New
Right,
York?
yeah.
They're going to eat him
Just
alive.
wait.
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
Like every press conference, if they lose, every press conference, he's just going to be swinging an axe or a baseball bat or
right.
something. He's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, come on, I dare you, say something. I dare you."
Yeah.
It's going to be
That's a
it's going to
tough
be a
crowd up there.
disaster. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's gonna want to go back to his little hut for 4 days and
Right.
Go on a darkness retreat
Right.
or something like
Yeah.
that, and wear a
Weird.
diaper in a dark room or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah, I don't get that. I don't get why you want a 40-year-old guy who's been in the same team for 20 years that you like it may or may not work. I don't get that. I don't know. That just sounds like that's almost like Russell Wilson to the Denver's kind of disaster.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's
It
weird.
just, I don't know. It seems like a setup for failure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Either way, it's gonna be weird wherever he goes, which is probably New York.
It is. It's going to be
weird
strange to
seeing
see him somewhere else.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird.
Another uniform. Felt
And-
like
and
that
like-
about Tom Brady when he went to Tampa.
Or Brett Favre when he went to his
Or
12
Brett
other teams.
Favre.
Right.
Right. All the times he retired.
Right, yeah, exactly.
It was funny when Brett Favre went to the Vikings, like
This
the,
is really weird.
the
Like,
enemy.
to an enemy.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
bizarre. I mean, the Vikings were like, woo woo. I mean, but if you're a
Right.
Green Bay fan, I'd have been hot. Like if Ben had left and gone to Baltimore,
Oh
I don't know if
god.
I could have
Ugh.
forgiven
Can you
him. I don't think I
imagine?
could forgive
Oh.
him. It took me a long time to get over James Harrison.
Right. Oh yeah.
Oh,
Going to the Patriots.
Oh,
oh,
long
that
time.
hurts.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
whole thing hurt. That ended badly. Oh,
It took
I
me
remember
It took
that.
me years to get over that. Him coming out and talking about it and saying like why he did it, his motivation. Then I was like, all right, I guess I understand. But
Wasn't he with the Bengals for 1 year too or something?
mhm,
Yeah.
Wasn't it like the Bengals and the
Mhm.
Patriots?
mhm, yeah.
Dude,
But
He
double-
was-
Ugh. I thought he
Wait,
was-
what happened? He was with the wasn't he with the Bengals for 1 year and then he came back and then he ended it with the
And they went
Patriots or
to the
something?
Patriots.
Yeah,
And
that's
he
what
was
it was.
Yes.
horrible with the Bengals.
Right.
Yeah, he was bad. It was not a good fit for him.
That's why all these teams, and we see it every year, one team gets like 20 more players and they get like all these great players
Yeah.
and free agents. It usually doesn't work. This isn't fantasy football, folks. This isn't,
Right.
Yeah.
the
There's something
lots
to be said for that team chemistry. Do you know what I mean? They have to come
Oh, yeah.
together. I mean, look how many Steelers who were great left and went on to do nothing. You know, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio
Lot of
Brown.
them.
We've had bunches of
Mike
them. Do you know,
Wallace.
Harrison, Mike Wallace.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just us. You know, it happens all the time, and
Mhm.
they just don't perform because it's just not a good fit.
But the biggest question remaining is, what do we think about black and yellow? Because Peterson raised all kinds of hell when he photoshopped himself with a 7 jersey,
Number 7 jersey.
Right.
bro. Bro,
And then he tweeted, "Don't worry, Steeler Nation. I'm
Don't
not gonna
worry."
say anything about it."
Yeah,
It's
he
like,
got.
dude,
I
you
think
just
he got the
just
he got the
put this on-
message.
Yeah.
don't worry, I'll take number 12.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, you can have 2 because that's going to be available soon.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
You have to
Leave
live up to
something alone.
Mason Rudolph's legacy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, but that's, I hear people get mad when you say, black and yellow. It's like, it's black and
It's
gold.
Gold.
Oh.
But-
Whatever.
But it is the Wiz Khalifa song. And at
It
the
is.
end of Steelers games in the stadium, they play black and
I
yellow.
know they do.
So
I know
they
do.
are okay with it.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
I cut people
catchy.
slack for saying it, but I only say black and gold. Like
Mhm,
that's what we
yeah.
always said. So I always say black and gold. But
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
know that some,
It's
especially
the
some of the younger
millennials that
fans,
like black and yellow.
yeah, black and yellow. Yeah,
I mean, you
And I
can't be
guess
mad
the
at Wiz
color's
Khalifa.
not gold in the sense like New Orleans has like true
Right.
like gold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it is a little bit of a different shade, but
Mhm.
it's,
Mhm.
I don't know. That's ingrained.
Yep.
I don't know what that color is. Basically, every team, like, there's not blue. It's Seahawks blue. It's not,
Right.
so whatever the color is, it's not Steelers. It's not yellow. It's Steelers gold.
Steelers
It's
gold.
Right, Steelers
it's
gold.
it's their own thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Almost kind of orange-ish.
It does have an orange tone to it.
Yeah, it does. And then the teams like change their colors, and that always freaks me out. Like when the Seahawks added all that like neon stuff, I'm like, that was not your colors. Where did that come from?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody else changed their colors recently. I can't remember who it was. Not changed like totally, but just the shade is different. Yeah.
So I asked our Steeler fans, are you okay with the colors being called black and yellow? 42% said yes, 32% said no, and 19% said meh.
Meh.
And 7% said, what the hell are you talking about? So,
I feel like the 19% that said meh are no's.
Yeah.
I feel like those are really no's.
Yeah.
Those are from Schefter's burner account.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not happy about it, but it is what it is. You can't, it's out there now. So
yeah, I blame Wiz Khalifa.
I blame Wiz Khalifa, but like everybody and anybody that's like kind of any like outsider that comes in to the Steelers or they're like black and yellow. Like you can't avoid it now.
Yeah.
No. Damn it, Wiz.
Yeah, I thought that might die down after a while, but it didn't.
No,
it didn't. No. And like, hey, the Steelers are embracing it. So
yeah.
And black and gold, like for, in defense of Wiz, who probably gave lots of thought to this. Black and gold just doesn't roll off the tongue like black and yellow. You know what I mean?
Doesn't have the same twang. Yeah.
Nope.
They should. Wiz Khalifa should come out with a song called Black and Gold.
Like you need to redo the song, dude.
Black and gold. Our defense is old. It's old like.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Like yellow has 2 syllables and gold only has 1. So I can see why he was like, oh, I got to go with the 2 syllable because it's a rapper song, hip hop, whatever they call that.
Please.
Stuff.
He was high out of his mind. He doesn't. He didn't know what colors were.
That is for sure. That is for sure. Is he a Steelers fan?
Who?
I think so.
Wiz.
Is he a Steelers fan?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure he is.
Yep.
I didn't ever know if like he was a Steelers fan and wrote the song like for the team, or if he wrote a song called Black and Yellow and everybody decided it was about the Steelers and like semi-adopted as an anthem. I don't know. I don't dislike his music, but I'm not that much of a fan that I know all the intricacies.
So you guys got Alex Highsmith on your podcast.
We did. That was
Dang.
awesome, right? That was exciting stuff. That was
Yinzer killing it.
Right.
Yeah, that was a good interview. It was a lot of fun. We are.
Yeah.
How was he?
What?
He was amazing. He was amazing.
Super nice.
Amazing. So nice and friendly and just conversational and chatty. We asked him a bunch of different questions and got him talking. And he was a lot of fun.
He told us about his whole off season. He's telling us where he went on vacation,
traveling with his wife and all the things they did. And
what is that? I wonder what their off season is like. I mean, they kind of get, I was gonna say, do they get 6 months off? They kind of do, but like
we asked him, like, they talked about like Kenny only took a week off and sat in his apartment and then went back to work. So we asked him, like, did you, when the season first ended for you, did you go like forget about football for a little bit and just spend some time with your family and your wife? And he said they went to Hawaii for a while and then did some other traveling within the US. They were in California and Charlotte. And he said, just really kind of giving his body time to heal. He's like, I really just needed the time. But he said he gets back at it like pretty fast, training pretty fast. Said he's working on getting faster this off season.
It's not like in the 70s when they were like car salesmen during the off season.
Right. I was gonna say,
I feel like any player worth his money is not taking very much time off. You know what I mean? Like they may not be, they're obviously not working out with a team or whatever, but they're doing their own thing probably as soon as possible, I would imagine, as soon as their body
I would think so.
Probably. And that's why like the older players, it's so hard on them because they got to work that much harder just to stay at that level. And it's like, do I really want to do this again?
Right.
Yeah, it's a beating on the body to do what they do, regardless of what position you play, unless you're maybe a kicker. It's really a beating. And so I imagine he said, think how young Alex Highsmith is too. And he said by the end of the season, he just felt all kinds of beat up.
Oh,
his
yeah. I mean,
body
he
was
played
just
a
He probably
lot.
played the most snaps he's ever played last year.
Right.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
it makes sense.
All right. The podcast is House of Yinzer. You guys are killing it.
Thank you.
I'm jealous. I don't get any kind of guests like that. You got Pomp. My goodness.
We
we
what are you
did get
talking
pumped.
about?
That
You don't
was
get
fun.
guests like that. LeeAnn and me? Come on. I mean,
Well,
I'm
we're
offended,
right here.
Joey. I'm not coming on your podcast anymore.
I'm
Well,
lucky. Yeah, I'm lucky to get you guys before you're too famous.
Right. Yeah.
No.
Well, you remember
We
you're our
remember
podcast daddy, remember?
Humble
I'm
beginnings.
the godfather of this podcast.
Godfather, yes.
Right. Don't call Joe daddy. That's weird.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, ew.
Yeah, that is a little weird.
It's a whole other thing. All right, guys. Hey, thanks so much. Always great to talk
Yes.
to you guys.
Right.
Good to see you. Take
All right.
care.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.